with the company now officially targeting the brand split to take place on the January 7th Raw in Madison Square Garden, with ideas changing by the week after Vince McMahon estimated it happening at any point between now to shortly after WrestleMania 18 in March, followed by Linda McMahon announcing the date in a media conference call last Wednesday. The WWF is set to take another major step into the new direction with the crowning of the first undisputed champion in the history of the industry on the pay-per-view Sunday, with all 4 participants in the triple main event at Vengeance working the 8 house shows on Saturday and Sunday in warm-up matches against each other after cards in Detroit and Champaign changed on short notice, with the recent revamped TV product seeing the 2 advertised Rock vs. Austin main events changing to a double headliner of Rock vs. Jericho and Austin vs. Angle for the world titles, with Raw's opening segment seeing a fresh promo exchange between Chris Jericho and Ric Flair, who despite being in the same company for years barely interacted on WCW television, with Jericho hyping himself winning the Undisputed title on Sunday despite him and Angle being overlooked, with everybody predicting Rock and Austin to meet in the final, setting up Flair booking Jericho vs. Austin for later tonight. With the expected splitting of the roster designed outside of creating 2 touring brands to increase overall revenue, to open up spots on the card and the main time slots on the TV shows for performers outside the top headliners, with a chance to elevate them into the top tier with more focus in the TV storylines. The split is also expected to increase demand for the top names outside the company to be signed, with one of the top names on the list being Scott Steiner, with Steiner returning to the ring at the World Wrestling All-Stars Tour in Europe during the week after officially becoming a free agent on December 1st, with his Time Warner WCW contract expiring on the night of November 30th, working his first match back since the sale of WCW 2 days ago, the first day he was legally available on Saturday in Birmingham to headline the event in a 3-way against Road Dogg and Jeff Jarrett, followed by 2 more shows in London on Monday and Wednesday, with Bret Hart as the commissioner of the tour booking Steiner in the 3-way main event and a tag match with Jarrett against Road Dogg and Brian Christopher, with the tour ending up a big success, drawing sellout crowds of over 6,000 people in Ireland and England despite the promotion still having no television exposure, with Steiner, who had talks with Jim Ross for months about signing with the WWF, expected to start serious negotiations with the company when fully recovering from his foot and back injuries, with Raw seeing one of its most talked about segments of the night next, with Trish going into Rock's locker room to thank him for making the save for her on SmackDown against Vince McMahon, setting up the main event for tonight, with a major segment playing off the Angle set for the SmackDown taping in Chicago tomorrow, followed by the final build-up to the first major Hardy vs. Hardy match with Jeff vs. Matt booked for the Vengeance pay-per-view on Sunday, teaming up against Tajiri and Spike to end in another dispute between them for the finish. Steve Austin vs. Chris Jericho was next, starting earlier than usual with still 6 minutes to go in the first hour, kicking off at 9:56 p.m. with Austin after officially turning babyface in the past 10 days of television, with the "What" catchphrase catching fire, with crowds chanting it throughout the TV and house show events in the past week, coming out to his old entrance music to signal that babyface Stone Cold is officially back and put the last reminder of the Alliance era in the past, as Austin vs. Jericho crossing over 10 p.m. in one of the possible combinations in the final at the Vengeance pay-per-view for the Undisputed title, went 7 minutes, with Austin going over clean with a stunner to again cement Austin vs. Rock as the heavy favorite for the top title unification match on Sunday, with the post-match seeing the returning Booker T starting a new program with Austin, with him shown in the parking lot of the Bradley Center stealing Austin's truck to lead to a car chase outside in Milwaukee in a cliffhanger angle for the next hour, with the Jericho-Austin match crossing over 2 quarters, picking up over 800,000 viewers throughout to a 4.6 rating. Vince McMahon and Kurt Angle came out at 10:09 p.m. to close the top of the hour quarter, and after drawing a big number for the Kiss My Ass angle to close Raw last Monday, with the segment doing over 7 million viewers with a full rating point above any other quarter on the night. SmackDown 3 days later spiked even bigger, with McMahon again at the center of it, driving the massive viewership jump, as after hyping another member to join the club, which ended up being Trish before Rock came out for the save, the tease of the Kiss My Ass Club again spiked interest with the McMahon-Rock segment, which saw Rock laying out Vince before being attacked by Jericho in the build-up to their pay-per-view match, peaking the night by a big margin with over 8 million viewers watching the angle, leading SmackDown overall to jump to its highest-rated show with the highest viewership in months, doing a 4.2 rating with over 7 million viewers, with Angle calling out Rock, demanding an apology for Vince while hyping a potential Angle vs. Rock match at the final of the Vengeance tournament on Sunday, bringing out Rock for the response, with Vince booking the main event for the night with Rock and Trish facing the team of McMahon and Angle, with the stipulation of Rock must join the club on SmackDown or he's stripped off the world title, bringing out Ric Flair to up the stakes and add another stipulation to the match, with Vince joining Rock's club or Angle is taking out of the Vengeance title match, with this segment also seeing the historic visual of arguably the 2 greatest performers the industry has ever seen standing side by side on screen, with Rock and Ric Flair having their first ever interaction on television, closing the promo by doing each other catchphrases, with the Big Star Power segment leading to Raw peaking at an unusual time in the 6th quarter between 10:15 to 10:30 with a show-high 4.8 rating. Rob Van Dam vs. Christian followed a big Rock Flair McMahon Angle segment to go 5 minutes for the hardcore title, with Van Dam vs. Undertaker set for a Vengeance on Sunday in the highest profile match on the card outside the triple main event for the Undisputed title, with Taker after turning heel last Monday off the show tonight, with him looking to start a fresh heel run against one of the most popular babyfaces in the company in Van Dam, and after not only holding the top of the hour audience but further increasing on it through the next quarter in a rare occasion by having the Big Star Power promo segment immediately following the Austin-Jericho match. Raw saw the massive drop coming minutes later between 10:30 to 45, dropping to an hour-low 4.1 rating in a quarter, featuring the second half of the Van Dam vs. Christian match and an impromptu Bradshaw vs. Regal match that saw Edge taking out Regal moments later to build up their pay-per-view match on Sunday, seeing Raw finishing the hour with a 4.4 rating overall, with the 20 minutes in the middle taking down the average before the expected big pickup for the McMahon and Angle vs. Rock and Trish main event. With Vengeance on Sunday set to be the 3rd WWF pay-per-view to not be available on DirecTV after the No Mercy and Survivor Series events in the past 2 months, the company, after debuting the internet stream at No Mercy, advertised it on television for the first time, with JR noting that the show again would not be on DirecTV but still would be available through all the other cable systems, along with telling viewers that Vengeance would be available to order in a live webcast on the WWF website for the first 5,000 people to register starting on Wednesday, with the last stance from the company regarding a new deal with Direct coming from Linda McMahon last week, saying that they won't accept terms that were worse than what they had before, despite having more leverage than ever, with WWF events responsible for over 70% of the total revenue in the pay-per-view industry in the past year, with the Raw main event of Rock and Trish against Vince and Angle, which saw Vince McMahon coming out in the best shape of his career to date, going 8 minutes to bump Raw back over 700,000 viewers to close the night with a 4.6 rating in the 7-minute overrun. And with the Vengeance pay-per-view 6 days away, the Raw main event tag looking to ride the momentum and build on the boosted interest following the massive numbers for the two McMahon segments in the past week, focusing more on upping the stakes to build up the hype for the Rock and Vince segment for the SmackDown TV broadcast in Chicago on Thursday, ending up with Austin coming out to take out Vince and Rock pinning Angle with the Rock bottom for the finish, officially setting up the McMahon-Rock segment on SmackDown with the final sell from JR and King on commentary targeting a massive audience for the Angle on a heavily hyped show in 3 days.